The anatomy of the invisible pivot, how micro decisions shape your destiny, the lie we have been sold. We are taught to obsess over major milestones, the degree, the marriage, the career leap, the reinvention. But the truth is far less glamorous and far more confronting. Your life is not shaped by big moments. It is shaped by the 35,000 micro decisions you make every single day. Tiny pivots, barely noticeable hesitations, reflexive agreements, automatic behaviors you don't even register. These are the invisible architects of your destiny. Today, we're going to expose the mechanics of those micro moments and show you how to reclaim the agency you have been giving away without realizing it. 1. The anatomy of the invisible pivot. We glorify the big turning points because they are easy to see, but the real steering wheel of your life is hidden in the micro choices you make on autopilot. The reflexive yes you give because you don't want to disappoint someone. The automatic compliance you learned in childhood and never questioned. The tiny moments where you override your intuition because it feels safer to stay small. These micro decisions accumulate quietly, building a life that feels familiar but not chosen. Your digital environment is engineered to force rapid-fire choices with likes, swipes, replies, taps, and each one a tiny micro-betrayal of your values. If you are not conscious, you are not weak. You are overloaded. 2. The compounding weight of self-betrayal. Every time you silence your intuition, your nervous system pays a price, a small hesitation, a swallowed truth. A moment where you choose convenience over alignment. Neurologically, these moments create microfractures in your sense of self. Individually, they are harmless, but compounded over years, they harden into an identity that feels rigid, stuck, and disconnected. This is how people wake up one day and say, I don't recognize myself anymore, because they have been rehearsing a version of themselves they never consciously chose. And biologically, these repeated choices wire your brain's default mode network, the system that determines who you believe you are. Your identity is not fixed. It is a habit. 3. Neural mapping of the micro decision. Every decision has a split-second window, a tiny gap between impulse and action. That gap is where your agency lives. But modern dopamine loops are designed to collapse that window. Notifications, infinite scroll, predictive feeds, they shorten your decision-making space until you are reacting instead of choosing. When you cannot access the pause, you cannot access yourself. But when you identify your personal trigger points, the moments where you tend to abandon yourself, you begin to see the architecture of your habits before they automate. Awareness is the first disruption. 4. The granular reclamation of agency. Reclaiming your life does not require a dramatic overhaul. It requires micro-resistance, the deliberate no, the conscious pause, the intentional friction that interrupts autopilot. Choice architecture matters. When you redesign your physical and digital environment to reduce cognitive load, you create space for high-intent decisions. And here's the math. Shift just 3 micro-pivots a day. 3 moments where you choose alignment over autopilot, and your 6-month trajectory becomes unrecognizable. Small pivots compound faster than big plans. 5. Engineering your future trajectory. Where do you say yes when you mean no? Where do you abandon yourself for comfort or approval? Where do you outsource your attention to algorithms? Where do you collapse into old identities because they are familiar? Every micro-choice has a ripple effect on your relationships, your opportunities, your creativity, and your emotional bandwidth. You are building your future in real time, one hesitation at a time. the call to reclaim your destiny. Your destiny is not waiting for a big moment. It is being shaped right now in the smallest decisions you are making without noticing. Treat every micro hesitation as a doorway. Treat every reflexive yes as data. Treat every tiny pivot as a foundational brick in the architecture of your future. You do not need to reinvent your life. You just need to reclaim the next micro moment. That is where your power lives. That is where your future begins.